Hello, greetings. Welcome back to another video. So today I'm going to be talking about extraterrestrials and the Bible. So basically, is it biblically possible for extraterrestrials to exist? If extraterrestrials exist, does that contradict the Bible? So is there life on other planets? That's our main question here, right? And also, aside from that, there's also some really interesting stuff. Is there a biblical explanation for ancient structures built by extraterrestrials, ancient nuclear blasts? Those are a thing. We'll get into that. Gray aliens, alien abductions, or flying saucers. Are any of these real? Does the Bible prohibit space travel? Very interesting questions. So before we start, though, this is we're gonna get really out there, like after midnight at a sleepover, kind of out there. You know what I'm saying? So everything that you know, everything that you know that you know, and everything that you know that you know that you know, set it aside. Okay, because truth, like Mark Twain says, truth stranger than fiction. Fiction is obliged to stick to possibilities. Truth isn't. Very true. The authority of fiction is understanding, in the authority of truth, or in truth is authority's understanding. Basically, is anyway. And then just have an open mind. Condemnation before investigation is the highest form of ignorance. Very true. A lot of people condemn before they even understand anything or research. So poverty and shame be unto him that refuseth instruction, but he that regardeth reproof shall be honored. So let's get into it. Evidence used for ancient aliens. Okay, so Saqqara artifact. This is I think that's how you say it. This is a little doodad, little device that was found in tomb in Egypt. These guys put it in a wind tunnel and produced 4 times its own weight in lift. These Nazca lines, they're discovered by a Peruvian aerial surveyor, 1927. Oh, in Nazca, Peru. This one in particular is very, very long, right? But this one in particular is interesting because this spider, at the time they didn't know this spider even existed, but far afterwards they found out. So they're like, oh, this spider, they were stupid. They made this leg longer than the other, and the spider has no eyes because they're stupid. No, they were smart, actually. So this spider lived miles away, in real dark caves, so it doesn't need eyes. Oh, it's like, boy, maybe a centimeter long, and for 15 seconds a year, this particular one leg grows longer than the other for 15 seconds. And during mating season, that's how it exchanges DNA with its mate. Very interesting. How'd they know that? Very interesting. And Trinitite. Nuclear blasts over 4,000 degrees. They discovered this at the Trinity test site. Causes this green. I get my tang tangled up in my merge wicks. This green glass is found at the Trinity test site from the nuke, obviously. And it's very specifically formed over 4,000 degrees. And then this stuff, only formed by nuclear blast, is found in Egypt and Libya and other ancient sites. And then it's also found King Tut's jewelry. Most famously, there's other Egyptian jewelry, but most famously King Tut. That's Trinitite right there. Very interesting. What's up with this? Well, let's start from the beginning. Biblical explanation. We see evidence of pressurized oxygen and CO2 all across this earth. This sounds unrelated, but if you know how it's related, then I guess you know. If you don't, just hold on. Dinosaur nostrils, about the same size of a horse. How would they have gotten enough air unless it was pressurized oxygen? These fossils, if everything was pressurized oxygen or CO2, everything would grow bigger, and that's exactly what we see. Ant-sized hummingbird fossil, or vice versa. This dragonfly, and then fern. The plant, the lady. I don't know the lady's name. Hopefully it's not fern, because that's stupid. That's a stupid name. Anyway, air bubbles in amber were found to have 35% oxygen as opposed to 21%, which would be today, like Jurassic Park. Who cares? Well, I cares because the Earth probably, from this evidence, had a canopy of ice above it. God said, let there be a firmament in the midst of the waters, let it divide the waters from the waters. Well, verse 20 says that the firmament is where the birds fly, so that's clearly the sky. So there's obviously water below the sky, the oceans and stuff. Then above it, that's his canopy. So you ever been in the water? Me neither. No, okay. When you're in the water, right, you get sunburned sometime. Why do you get sunburned on your back? Well, if you're like in the lake on a hot summer day, then, well, here's why. Because the sun is directly hitting your back. The radiation from the sun is directly hitting your back, and also it's bouncing off the water back up onto your back. So you get twice as much radiation. My point is, sun's radiation bounces off of water. So a lot of this light doesn't, right? You can go underwater, open your eyes, and you can still see the sun just fine. It's distorted, obviously, because of water, but you get my point. UV radiation is blocked. Light is not. So if this canopy was over the Earth, UV radiation would be shoot out back into space, be protected. Very interesting. And so, what would this do? Well, UV radiation is responsible for about 90% of visible skin changes, like wrinkling, where the skin gets thin and leathery, premature aging, and then pressurized hyperbaric oxygen. It's therapy. They use it for healing properties today. Hyperbaric oxygen chambers, right? All that good stuff exists. It heals all this stuff right here. I don't even know if that's all of it. There's probably more. So if you lived in these conditions, you could live for a very, very long time. Obviously, Methuselah, oldest guy recorded, at least. Oldest guy ever, as far as we're aware. So one could learn a lot in 500 years. 500 years, but 900 years. So this, I think, all these things right here, mistaken for evidence of aliens. Now, how they did it, I'm not here to talk about that. I'm just potentially talking about how it is possible that they did it. There's a difference in this case. How is this possible? So this kind of helps transition into that. Either specific techniques, I don't know. Maybe there's something with Stonehenge in the works of Edley Scullin. I don't know. That's a whole nother subject. So mankind is getting stupider and less durable, right? Because everything tends towards disorder, which is why evolution is a stupid theory, and dumb and dangerous and be chunked down the well. But the gene code for mankind would lose more and more information. We're getting dumber, right? Yeah. And that's... you don't have to go for very long living on this planet before you realize that people are pretty dumb. Now, nuclear blasts. Mohenjo Daro. This is an ancient, heavily populated city of Pakistan, instantly destroyed 2,000 years before Christ. This, as said by this guy in this website. These skeletons are all found in the same layer of dust, meaning they were covered with quickly with dirt. They all died the same instant death. Interesting. Some have way more radiation than others, and then these rocks at Mohenjo Daro are vitrified, meaning they've been exposed to high heat, almost have turned to glass. I think for these specific rocks, I could very well be wrong about this. I could be very well wrong about all of this, but the research I've done is this is what everything seems to point to. I've done a lot of research on this, believe me. So anyway, this takes, for these specific rocks, I think, it takes about 3,000 degrees Fahrenheit to do. I could very well be wrong about that, though. Let me know if you know. But fire only ever gets to 1,200 degrees, or maybe 1,500. Either way, though, that's still only half of what's necessary. Case of the Evil Wind. This is ancient Sumerian text from the Lamentation text from ancient Sumeria, dating back to 2025 BC. You can read it here. There's a lot of interesting stuff here. This sounds a lot like a nuclear blast. Great storm from heaven, land annihilating storm. Destroyed by scorching heat, deprived the land of the bright sun. People could hardly breathe. Cities become desolate. Houses become desolate. Water is bitter. Grow withering. The pastures grow withering plants. Interesting stuff. Loner crater. This is a crater, and there's no volcanic activity nearby it, as far as I am aware. And there's no meteoric material found anywhere nearby. Normal water measures neutral on the pH scale, which is 7, right? So, but this has 11. This measures 11 on the pH scale. Same alkaline level as ammonia, so very alkaline. Very interesting. So this is average water. This dude tested it out with turmeric. I guess that gives a reaction, and I'm not sure. I don't really know much about the pH scale. So again, let me know if there's something wrong with this. But as far as I can tell, as far as I am aware, this should all be correct. So, but this is normal water right here, and this is the water from the lake. So pH scale, if it's more alkaline, it has more ions in it. Well, what emits ions? Radiation. It does emits ions. So interesting. Very interesting. So ancient Sumeria here, Mohenjo Daro lunar crater, and then so that's all on a map there, and it's towards India. So the Mahabharata. This is an ancient, I think I'm pronouncing that right, ancient Indian text. Very interesting stuff. Be careful, because you'll see a lot of fake stuff from the Mahabharata. But anyway, 36 year after the battle, a lot of weird terraforming type stuff going on here. Winds dry and strong, showering gravel. Birds began to wheel, making circles. Horizon on every side covered with fog. Blazing coals fell on the earth from the sky. Sun always covered with dust. And then in this same exact chapter, like a little bit after, so 36 years after a battle, asses were born of kin, elephants of mules, cats were born of mouse of mongoose. Interesting, maybe that's referring to genetic mutation. Back then, it took a nuclear blast for a human to be an ass, but nowadays you could just go to universities, see that everywhere. Anyway, and then this is also, I could not see the car of costly metals. It talks about really interesting crafts here. Car of costly metals vanishes and just reappears like through an illusion, right? Sound is inaudible, and it just like straight up, you can go anywhere at will. Bewildering my eyes, reappeared at this nearby city. Mighty shower of rocks. So, Vimanas is what these are called. I haven't done much research on these, but allegedly that's what that is. So interesting. Very interesting. Were aliens around back then? And how on earth is that even biblically possible? Well, there's been some mysterious implants found in people who claim they've been abducted. Like, this is a legit thing. I'll link this in the description. This is weird, okay? These implants, these are found in people, and they're made of meteoric materials. People that have been abducted, of course. And this next slide I'm about to show you is kind of disgusting, so I'll try and keep it up for a minimal amount of time. But I'll tell you right now, before this Italian woman in 2010 claimed to have been abducted and impregnated by these aliens, and then they did an MRI or whatever. I don't know, they did the thing. I'd never been pregnant, praise God for that, but they looked in the belly of the lady and they see the baby in there. Who cares? But they saw the baby in there, and he was like, what is that? That is not human. And this is what it is. Ready? 3, 2, 1. Okay, there we go. Sorry, it's delayed. Yeah, this is a weird creature that they found. She got an abortion autopsy, I guess. Somehow they got it out. Because abortion, they go piece by piece. It's just disgusting. Anyway, that's weird. Moving on. So, what's a biblical understanding of this? Well, the Bible has a pretty clear understanding of space in general. Sits upon the circle of the earth. Bible is a pretty accurate science book. Obviously, it's not all science, but the science it does touch on is solid. So, anyway, expansion of the universe is expanding, right? Discovery, space is being stretched. NASA, universe is expanding. Library of Congress, universe is expanding. It says that, there we go. Yeah, it says that 3 times. Got the Bible twice in Jeremiah. I think more, maybe more. Stretched out the heavens. God is stretching out the heavens. They know. And then this is proof that the earth is round, and that night there'll be 2 men in one bed. Okay. And the 2 men in the field, and they shall be taken, and the other left. At the same time, there'll be some in the field and some at night. That's proof the earth is round. So, is life on another planet biblically possible? Right? So, well, let's define life. So, if you die, that means you were previously alive. Yeah, pretty obvious. Humans can die, therefore their life. Duh, cattle can die. This is obvious, their life. But plants, interestingly, never die. They either wither or fade. There's so many. Just go to Bible Gateway, look up wither or fade or whatever. Interesting. Plants never die in the Bible. So technically, it's biblically possible for there to be a planet with vegetation growing on it. However, I doubt that's scientifically possible because there's no animals, plants, and then to provide nutrients through soil. But I mean, here's some plants that can grow without soil, but I'm sure they need some like insects, pollination, or whatnot. I'm sure. I doubt there's any plants that could, maybe cactus. I don't know. Anyway, interesting to think about. So I doubt that's scientifically possible, but biblically, I guess it is possible. If that existed, that doesn't contradict the Bible at all. That's not life on other planets. So, but are extraterrestrials biblical? This is interesting. Genesis 6:13. God said to Noah, "The end of all flesh is come before me." Earth is full of violence, right? All flesh. Not all flesh on the earth, all flesh. What's flesh? Flesh is the skin. I don't know why it went to next. Flesh is the skin of an animal or a human, and obviously that's a living organism, something that's alive. That's pretty obvious. All flesh. Interesting. So I doubt there's any life elsewhere. There's any life on any other planets because of that verse. Genesis 3:20. Eve is the mother of all living. Interesting. So probably not. And if so, God will be unjust, which he is not. Matthew 5:14, you are the light of the world, not worlds. It's interesting to think, if they had just added an S right to the end of the word worlds, the church would be the #1 buyer and seller of space travel today, probably. I predict. And I don't know, it's interesting to think about, Interesting. Who cares? And God said, let there be lights in the firmaments, right? Let them be for signs and for seasons. Those stars up there, that's for us. Okay, that's not for anybody else. What about these critters? And then again, what about the nuclear blast? We'll get to that. What about these critters? Thousands of claims of sightings and abductions every year. If these things exist, does that contradict the Bible at all? Does that disprove the Bible? Absolutely not. It 100% supports it. There were giants in the earth in those days. So this is interesting. The sons of God came to the daughters of men. Of course, you can't have an out there video without talking about the Nephilim, right? Everybody knows that. So the sons of God came into the daughters of men. They bare children. They became mighty men, which were of old. Big guys. These were some large chaps. All right. So the sons of God. Who's that? Well, anytime it refers to sons of God in the New Testament, the Old Testament, that's fallen angels. Fallen angels came to man. Interesting. So what's this about? These things exist, okay? The land of the children of Ammon is full of these chungai. There are giants therein, right? Many tall. A people great, and many and tall. These things are found. And anytime they're found, this Smithsonian is always trying to take them away, They're always coming up and, that's a pretty nice skeleton you have there. Sure would be a shame. Sure would be a shame. It's annoying. Some people, they're hiding them away because it disproves evolution, of course, because stub burnt. But allegedly, they're hiding them away, or they're dumping them in the Atlantic. Either way, they buy them and they don't put them on display. Why would you not put that on display? That's cool. I don't get it, man. That's stupid, Something's up. The Smithsonian has hiding some pretty big skeletons in their closet. Anyway, we were in Buffalo Bill. He was found these Pawnee Indians, and they brought some pretty large bones, 3 times the size of a man. This is in his autobiography, creatively titled The Autobiography of Buffalo Bill. Abraham Lincoln making a speech about Niagara Falls. The bones that fill the mountains of America from the species of extinct apes have... apes. No. It is Satan. That was Satan. I've been watching too many evolution videos. Have gazed on Niagara as ours do now. The speech he made at Niagara Falls. Obviously, that doesn't prove anything, but I don't know. It's interesting to think about. Anyway, and there was a battle in Gath where it was a man of great stature. He had every hand 6 fingers and 6 toes. This is a common thing with 6 fingers and 6 toes. These giant skeletons are sometimes found with 6 fingers, 6 toes. Also, a double row of teeth. That's interesting. Some weird genetics went on there, and that runs in the genes. 6 fingers, six fingers and 6 toes, that runs in the genes. Double row of teeth, that runs in the genes. Diarrhea runs in the genes if you don't get there quick enough. Okay, and then you can also see there's hieroglyphs and stuff and ancient cave paintings of people with 6 fingers, 6 toes, footprint there even. Very interesting. What is this about? Ask Goliath, by the way, the guy that David rocked to death, or asleep. I will put enmity between thee and the woman, in between thy seed and her seed. It shall bruise thy head. Notice there's 2 seeds here. Her seed is referring to the seed of man. Thy seed, this is referring to who this verse is being spoken to, and that is Satan. Interesting. Satan wants to erase man by any means necessary, especially the line to Christ, because he knows it's going to bruise his head. He doesn't like that idea. He's a whiny baby. So he doesn't want his head to get squished. Jesus is going to do it, though. He can come back, give him a real painful noogie, and then give him the big squish. Praise God for that. Anyway, one of these attempts to mess up man, to erase man, or actually have dominance over man, was through the Nephilim by messing up the genetic lineage. Interestingly, in every abduction claim, almost every abduction claim, these creatures are interested in the human's reproduction process. Interesting. So eggs and sperm, this is from Abduction of Aliens or Sleep Paralysis, which was a study of a survey. Aliens always are interested in the removal of eggs or sperm, produce half alien, half human creatures. Like I showed you before, there was that creature from that disgusting thing. Yeah, removal of eggs or sperm. By the way, that disgusting critter I showed you earlier. There's people that say it's a rabbit. Someone tore the skin off of a rabbit. Maybe, that's entirely possible. The skeleton is not the same though. Like the skull is not shaped the same. Anyway, that thing is weird, man. And they have 3 fingers on each hand, which is half of 6. I don't know if that means anything to any people who like numbers out there, but I don't know, interesting. And I saw 3 unclean spirits, like frogs. If I was living in John's time, I guess if I saw this guy, I guess I'd say he looks like a frog amphibian for sure. 3 fingers as well, sort of, I think. Is that a finger? Who cares? Black eyes, weird skin and nostrils and whatever. And they came out of the mouth of the dragon, or the beast. And they were spirits of the devils, working miracles go forth unto the kings of the earth. These guys, maybe, now I don't know if this is it or not. Obviously, it's not really worth founding doctrine upon this because it hasn't happened yet. But maybe these guys are aliens are gonna come out of a flying saucer, and they're gonna be like, the whole world's gonna be like, oh yay, aliens exist or whatever, yay. And then they're gonna be like, oh, they're so far ahead of us in advance. They got such scientific minds. They have these scientific devices that can do just about anything. That's going to be the working miracles. They're probably going to resurrect people from the dead. Scientifically, of course. Oh, okay. It's stupid. And then they're going to meet all the kings of the earth, all the great leaders, all the big cheeses everywhere. And if this was to happen, Satan would slowly transition the world into probably believing in UFOs and getting the government to admit their existence, or thus extraterrestrial life. So, CIA, Pentagon, NASA, all confirming this stuff. These are all within the past year. Interesting. What's in the biblical explanation for flying saucers? Well, angels do not die, nor do demons. They've been around since the beginning. There's a lot that can be learned if one experienced all of history firsthand. So I find it's very possible that demons with intellect could build these flying spacecrafts. Nikola Tesla alone, in his older years, had many blueprints, concepts for a flying saucer. He said he could build one. Maybe he could, maybe not. I don't know. Maybe he did. We don't know. It claimed to be using field propulsion. This is the idea. So you ever look at this guy in World War II, I believe he was Hitler, of course. Hitler was trying to get a flying saucer to work so his Nazis could travel from A to B whenever, interesting. He was very interesting stuff. I don't know if they succeeded or not, but there was a guy who thought of the idea of field propulsion during that time. He's a German engineer. I forget his name, but he was like, oh, I need a break. I gotta walk through the woods for a little bit just to get some peace and quiet. And he walked through the woods, came across a little river, a little stream, and in the stream he saw fish. And he noticed the fish were traveling along pretty fast, but they were doing very little work. Why is that? Well, because they were being pulled by the current in a fluid medium. Air is a fluid medium. Air has currents. So that's, I think, where he thought of the idea. It's not being repelled or pushed by anything or any fuel. It's being pulled or attracted. So I don't know. That's the theory behind it. So that's how allegedly, flying saucers can make solid 90-degree turns at super high speeds. I don't know. But if demons have made flying saucers, it might be possible that they visited other planets. There's some really interesting stuff on Mars. There's face on Mars, and then there's Boy, I watched a video last night, actually, I didn't know about this, by the universe inside of you. I'll link it in the description as well. It was, it was about a possible colony on Mars, ancient colony on Mars. Yeah, real weird. Like, these structures are allegedly mathematically perfectly aligned and stuff. I don't know. Maybe there's life out there, maybe not. I don't know. I don't know if this hieroglyphic is even a thing. It looks like kind of just looks like a rock to me. Mars bone also kind of, I don't know. Monolith is pretty weird, and then this is really weird. There's straight up pi on this rock right here, and then a circle right there. Maybe, I don't know, I can see sort of an arc, but I don't know, maybe it is a circle, because, you know, pi r squared is circumference of a circle. I don't know. Very interesting to think about. So, and it is in the Bible all the time. Angels go to space, and they bring man with them, right? He sends his angels with a great sound, gather together his elect, one end of heaven to the other, chariot of fire, horses of fire. I don't know if the horses would be angels. I guess not, but I don't know. Technically, these horses are space travelers. That's interesting. I think Elijah might have been the first astronaut, because he went up to the heavens in a craft. Think about it. So, I don't know. Maybe not. But does the Bible prohibit space travel? Oh, also, I forgot to mention the aliens from early, the nuclear blasts. Satan is eliminating man by any means necessary. Yeah, I think that's probably what the nuclear blasts are for. And maybe, you know, mankind only invented the nuclear bomb relatively recently, you know, obviously in the grand scheme of things. But I think maybe there's aliens can see the demons. Maybe they have a different visual spectrum of what they can see. So maybe they can see radioactivity. It was always here, and then mankind didn't know about it until we had the tools to measure it and to look at it. Anyway, interesting to think about. But anyway, back to this. Space travelers in the Bible, all these guys. Moses, yeah, that's interesting. You can get into that. Enoch, maybe. I don't know. Elijah, Jesus, cherubim, angels, Satan, fallen angels. You know, all these guys. Very interesting. Space travelers. So, does the Bible prohibit space travel? Technically, no. But it depends on the intention. Right? So, in Tower of Babel, let us build a tower whose top we may reach unto heaven. Let us make a name for ourselves. Trying to go to heaven because of pride. They wanted to do it. They wanted to be looked up to. We shall be as gods, right? John F. Kennedy, we will go to the moon not because it's easy, but because it's hard. Ultimately, that is pride, right? But they did read, you know, Genesis up there. So I don't know what the astronauts' personal intentions were, right? But they read Genesis, first chapter of Genesis, while orbiting the moon. Or going to the moon. I think that's cool. A very great video. But anyway, thou hast made him, referring to man, have dominion over the works of thy hand. Thou hast put all things under his feet. Okay, well, the works of thy hands. Did God create space? Yeah. Yeah, he created the heaven and the earth, space and matter. So, that makes sense. That space is not off limits. Right? If space is off limits, so is the air. That doesn't make any sense, right? We have dominion over the fowl of the air. If we didn't, then we would have no right to fly. So aviation would be unbiblical. Okay? Elon Musk, right? He was asked, why do you want to go colonize Mars? He said, well, why do you want to live? What's the point? I don't think colonizing Mars is a biblical idea. I think that's contradicting. But he says, the Bible says replenish the earth. Not Mars. But anyway, he was asked, you know, why are we going to Mars? What's the point? He says, I find it's incredibly depressing if that's not the future we're going to have, being out there amongst the stars. It's for pride, right? For himself. I know, I love Elon Musk. This man is a Chad. Probably one of my favorite people. But he's wrong here. Okay? I love what he was doing with like Tesla and everything. Although I don't, the car company. I don't really agree with Cyberlink. I don't know. But anyway, that's another topic. Tesla though, the car company. Yeah, that's cool. I think we should have started having electric cars long ago. We're way overdue. Anyway, Werner von Braun, I don't know. German scientists had led the American space program. My experiences with science led me to God. They challenge science to prove the existence of God, but must we really light a candle to see the sun? This dude has the right idea. He's going up there to see the glory of God's handiwork. And he's doing it for the glory of God, because whatever ye eat or drink, whatsoever ye do, do for the glory of God. Of course, we've all seen this. So, interesting stuff. It's just a lot to think about, from the Nephilim to the alien critters and all that bizarre stuff. Yeah, it is really out there. So beware of Satan, and rebuke Satan, and do all things to the glory of God. I guess that's the moral of the story. Anyway, hopefully you enjoyed this. If not, did not really ask, you know? I didn't really ask, but anyway, thank you for watching. I'll see you later. Bye-bye.